The optimized Dual Blades build kills the campaign boss like a hot knife cutting through butter. It feels smooth, powerful, and incredibly satisfying. It took me less than 20 seconds to defeat the Void King. Without optimization, the same boss took over a minute to kill, triple the time. Welcome to the Meta Instinct channel. In today's video, I'll share the optimized Dual Blades build, including a detailed explanation of the martial arts, the inner ways we prefer and why, suggestions for Mythic Skills, and how to execute the combo like a pro. Let's get started. Mortal Rope Dart. This build uses the Infernal Twinblades along with a Mortal Rope Dart from the Bamboocut wind path. If you need a guide on how to unlock them, feel free to comment martial arts below. In this section, I'll cover the fundamentals of these martial arts, including what the skills do, how to use them effectively, and how martial arts talents work. Don't worry, I'll only focus on what matters for this build and keep it short. If you already know the basics, you can skip ahead to the next chapter. Let's start with a Mortal Rope Dart. Left-click performs a wide-swinging light attack that damages all nearby enemies. This makes it extremely useful for clearing groups of mobs. In fact, the Rope Dart's light attack is stronger than the Dual Blades, making it a better choice when exploring the world. Pressing the R key puts you in a charging stance, which consumes endurance. You do not need to hold the button, a single press is enough. After 1.5 seconds, the special skill becomes enhanced, which is what we will use most in battles. Charging longer grants healing and chi regeneration, but we rarely need that during combat. Outside of battle, though, it can be very helpful for recovering HP without using medicine or food. The special skill, called Rodent Rampage, summons a rodent that automatically attacks enemies whenever you land a light attack. The more attacks you perform, the more often the rodent strikes. Even if you switch weapons, Rodent Rampage continues to follow you. Surprisingly, the rodent produces the highest damage output in this build, even more than the Dual Blades. The downside is its short 10-second duration, but we can extend this with inner ways, which we'll cover later. Casting this skill consumes a token of gratitude, indicated by the gold icon above the rope dart, which slowly regenerates over time. The martial arts skill, Blade-Bound Thread, is activated by pressing Q. It throws the rope dart to the target, pulling you toward a boss or pulling regular enemies toward you. If you press Q again within 2.5 seconds, you can knock down the target. The damage of this skill alone isn't significant, but its effects are extremely valuable. First, it marks the target with a Vendetta token, increasing Rodent Rampage damage by 50%. Second, it triggers Rodent Hunt damage through the Vendetta inner way, which we'll cover shortly. Overall, Rodent Rampage is the primary source of damage from the Mortal Rope Dart. The charging stance and martial arts skill simply enhance its damage. Then we switch to Dual Blades to strike the enemy, while Rodent Rampage continues dealing damage automatically. Doing it properly gives you two sources of damage simultaneously. Infernal Twinblades. Left-clicking with the Twin Blades triggers light attacks. Each hit fills the Karmic Flame, shown by the red bar above the Dual Blades. Once filled, press R to enter Wrathful Form, also called Flame Lash or Blade of Heaven's Wrath. Yes, they mean the same thing, but they confuse us with many names. The developer really needs to standardize the names and terms. During this form, your critical rate and critical damage are enhanced. All you need to do is land light attacks and use your martial arts skill while Karmic Flame drains continuously. The Flame Lash duration is short, but the damage it delivers is tremendous, ranking second only to Rodent Rampage in this build. The Twin Blades martial arts skill, Addled Mind, spins and dashes your character forward, hitting the enemy multiple times. It can store up to 3 charges, allowing you to cast it 3 times in a row if fully restored. The special skill, Calamity's Greed, consumes endurance and performs a short-range spinning attack. If cast again while the blade is spinning, it triggers a horizontal slash. Innerways. The Bamboocut Wind Path Guide recommends Echoes of Oblivion, Vendetta, Breaking Point, and Riptide Reflex. I agree with the first 3, but I replace Riptide Reflex with Morale Chant from the general path. Echoes of Oblivion and Vendetta are mandatory, as they specifically enhance the Infernal Twinblades and Mortal Rope Dart. Echoes of Oblivion may seem complicated with terms like Sin, Karma, Samsara, and Karmic Flame. Simply put, it boosts Twinblades damage by reducing enemy defense and resistance. At Tier 4, dealing 6 hits within 2 seconds resets your martial art cooldown. This effect occurs only every 10 seconds, but it gives you an extra round of martial art skills during the combo. Vendetta is essential for the Mortal Rope Dart. It increases the duration of the Vendetta token applied by Blade-Bound Thread and improves Token of Gratitude recovery. At Tier 3, it adds Rodent Hunt damage to the target, dealing 30% of the Rodent Rampage damage within 15 seconds. This often ranks as the 3rd highest damage source in the build, comparable to Dual Blades light attacks. At Tier 4, Rodent Rampage duration increases from 10 to 15 seconds. If you have 2 tokens of gratitude, the duration extends to 20 seconds. This solves the main downside of Rodent Rampage, its short duration. Breaking Point enhances damage when the enemy is exhausted. Hitting an exhausted enemy increases critical damage and physical penetration. At Tier 4, this bonus reaches 25% critical damage and 25 physical penetration, lasting 5 seconds. If the final tier is unlocked, performing a perfect dodge also triggers this bonus. Echoes of Oblivion, Vendetta, and Breaking Point are the 3 core interways for this build. Riptide Reflex reduces martial art cooldowns when control skills are used. In this build, only the Rope Dart martial art can trigger it, providing very little value. That's why I don't prefer it. Bitter Season can be helpful as it inflicts poison with a 10% chance per attack. Since Twin Blades hit very fast, you can quickly reach 5 poison stacks, which both deal damage and reduce enemy defense and resistance. As for Morale Chant, it grants a river stack every 2 seconds with an 80% chance per attack, stacking up to 5 times for 8 seconds. At Tier 4, it becomes a guaranteed stack every 2 seconds, lasting 12 seconds. Each stack increases damage, physical penetration, and healing. It's reliable, easy to accumulate, and provides strong buffs. If you're buying bundles and Where Winds Meet, you might be overpaying. The same bundle costs different prices in different countries. A $100 bundle can cost more in some regions, but much less in others such as Japan. Taking advantage of these regional prices on your own is complicated and risky, but Lootify can handle everything for you. With Lootify, a $100 bundle can cost as low as $87. Click the link in the description and start saving today with Lootify. Mythic Skills, Meridian Touch, Cloud Steps, and Celestial Seas are essential for fighting bosses and countering some gold skills. I always bring them along when fighting bosses. Wolf-like Frenzy is highly recommended because it deals significant damage and can hit the knockdown target. I often use it immediately after executing a target to maximize combo damage. Punking Havoc is also useful as it slows down time and gives you more opportunity to run the combo. Gear Set. The Path Guide recommends Swallow Call for weapons and Calm Waters for armor. Swallow Call is crucial because its 4-piece effect increases damage when the enemy's chi drops below 40%. Since this build drains chi very quickly, this bonus activates almost immediately, especially when enemies are exhausted. Calm Waters is effective if you dodge frequently, as it has a chance to restore endurance and HP. If you prefer deflecting attacks, switching to Agile Steps can reduce damage by up to 60% after 3 successful deflections. RCMD on Tune Attributes indicates recommended stats. We won't go into detailed gear optimization today, but if you want a dedicated gear guide, comment gear below. Martial Art Talents. Martial arts talents can look confusing, especially with percentages. Each martial art has 5 talents, some of which scale with stats like agility or minimum attack. For example, this talent increases the minimum physical attack based on agility. The maximum bonus requires 150 agilities, but I only have 97. Thus, I get 64% of the bonus. As for this talent, my minimum Bamboocut attack already exceeds the requirement, and thus I get 100% bonus from this talent. For this build, we prioritize agility, minimum physical attack, and minimum Bamboocut attack through gear tuning to maximize talent bonuses. Combo. First, I recommend rebinding the special skill to right-click. It makes the combo much easier to press without looking at the keyboard. Right-click is bound initially to defend, but I rarely use it since dodging or deflecting is better. Swapping the buttons doesn't affect bow usage. Right-click still works for aiming. The combo starts with a Mortal Rope Dart. Get close enough so that the martial arts skill can hit the enemy. Then press R to charge for 1.5 seconds. Once enhanced, right-click to activate Rodent Rampage. Press Q to throw the dart and pull yourself to the boss, and press Q again to knock down the boss. Switch to Dual Blades with Tab and start hitting with light attacks, martial arts skills, and special skills. Don't use all your martial art charges in the first run. Save some for later. If you got the Tier 4 buff from Vendetta Interway, your Rodent Rampage would last 20 seconds. You can straight away enter Flame Lash. If you don't have the Tier 4 buff, you might want to back off and start the combo again. When a boss is exhausted, that's the time for you to deal tremendous damage. As the exhaustion state nears its end, press F to execute and immediately cast Wolf-like Frenzy for additional damage. This optimized build is compelling and surprisingly addictive. Try it for yourself and see the difference. Alright, it is the end of the sharing today. Please like and share it with your friends. I'm Alan from Meta Instincts. See you in the next video.